So, first, I just want to know a little bit of your personal history, like where you're from, how old you are, early years kind of stuff. Not huge details. But
Okie doke.
what's your name?
What's my name? My name's Josh Trott. I'm 40 years old. I was born in 1971. My parents were in the medicine business, and so there was a lot of interest of mine growing up in health and wellness, so the nature of the work. So the nature of my work, I've chosen to get into agriculture, which I really think is about health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And planetary health and wellness. Is that the question?
Yeah, it's a good start. Where did you go to college, and where did you go?
Okay, yeah. So, I think I've really been blessed by being educated in various settings, and so I definitely had a couple different ranges of a college setting. Some that was really, sort of not very useful in a lot of ways, other than to figure out what I didn't want to do. And some of it was very helpful. It's hard to say prior to and without the experience what was better or worse. I got a lot of direct training in college level material. When I was in the 9th and 10th grade, I went to a prep school, private school.
Which school was it?
Exeter, it's on the seacoast.
Oh, Phillips Exeter?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that school. Wait, so where were you born? I can't...
Born in Philadelphia.
Did you grow up in Philadelphia?
No, my parents were, they said, sort of in medicine. My dad was in the military for a little bit, so we sort of, between them getting educated and moving around with the military, we ended up staying in a couple different places.
Huh.
And then more or less staying up in North Carolina. My dad was a physician in North Carolina for 25 years.
Oh, got it. So why Phillips Exeter?
Why go there?
Well, if you weren't in New Hampshire at all before.
My had relatives up here, and my parents' family was from this region.
Mm-hmm.
So that played an influence in being in New England.
Mm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And, I think at the time, and it's a good thing that I was exposed to the diversity of it, but the education that I received in North Carolina in the public school was different than the education I got with the rigors of academia and Exeter and so forth. Very different education.
So then you went to college in Colorado, is that right?
I started college in North Carolina.
Oh.
And once again, it was sort of an experience that I probably wouldn't recommend. It's more or less like a state school mentality.
Mm.
And where I went in Colorado was a state school as well, but it was pretty progressive opportunities available.
Mm.
So it was about trying to seek out those opportunities in Colorado.
Gotcha. What did you study in Colorado?
The degree was called environmental conservation.
Oh, okay.
But it didn't... it wasn't really about conserving the environment, maybe as so much as just an overall assessment of the situation as it exists. But I can't say that we did really that much about it depends what your definition of conservation is, I suppose. If you're just interested in having a park or something like that, I guess that's conservation to you. Then maybe it has something to do with that. But
so it was less like finding solutions and more just discovering the problems.
preservation,
Oh,
sort
okay.
of this, well, we don't know what to do about change, so we're just going to stop everything. So, well, that's probably not going to work.
Got it.
Yeah, as you're saying, not a very solution-oriented direction, more of an assessment than diagnosis and implementation.
Mm. So, how did you get involved with permaculture-based activities then?
Well, more or less looking for different forms of trying to address the crisis of this era in a positive and proactive way.
Mm.
And so I think there's limited tools out there. If there was an elixir, we'd all be drinking it. Some sort of genie. And we could rub a lantern that would answer it was 3 wishes. So don't really have all that much to work with. And I mean, permaculture is just a word.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not the elixir, it's not the keys to eternal life. It's not, what is it they look for in King Arthur's day?
The
Holy Grail.
Excalibur?
Excalibur, Holy
Holy
Grail.
Grail.
They cut the Holy Grail with Excalibur. But, yeah. That may not be out there. I don't really think it is. I think the elixir is to realize humanity's role in all this and start playing the role that we can play, the role we should strive for.
Mm.
I think the elixir is probably in our head in terms of what to do. I think there is probably a basic knowledge as to what to do, even. It's just the sacrifice of those sort of things involved.
Mm-hmm. Well,
on an individual level.
Dacres does... It says that it practices many schools, right? And permaculture is one of them.
Yeah, in terms of agriculture, if you're talking like permaculture is a derivative of organic farming.
Mm-hmm.
Permaculture utilizes organic farming techniques. It also utilizes biodynamic techniques.
Mm-hmm.
But it has sort of been categorized as an offshoot of those 2 schools.
Okay.
So.
Have you educated yourself much in permaculture? There are permaculture courses and whatnot. Did you ever take any of those, or was it?
Well, I think, my knowledge base has come from being close to and associated with some places that were established in, say, the 80s and the 90s that had some notoriety in the region. Like the place that I learned about in Colorado and visited and my sister interned at is still going and really well known.
What is it?
It's the Rocky Mountain Permaculture Institute.
Yeah, I've heard of it. So.
And it's been through probably 30 years now, of this kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the Bullock brothers out on Orcas Island in the San Juan group.
Oh, yeah.
Off Washington State.
Yeah.
And they have a homestead nursery.
It's the Bullock brothers?
Bullock. What the heck? I'm trying to think of their names. I think there's at least 2 or 3 of them. Douglas Bullock, one of them. But anyway, they have a really, really awesome site, that they've developed, and I got an opportunity to live on Orcas Island and work on the island on agricultural projects and straw bale things and really get into the culture there. And two of the original people that came out with us had taken the permaculture class from them.
Oh, okay.
So that was sort of the basis. Mm-hmm. And then I read the literature. Molson's got a couple books out, and Holgram's got some information as well. Mm-hmm. And then just started practicing as best I could. Tried to steer clear of the education. That was a big... People pushed us into that direction to try to educate on permaculture. And it's hard to do. Mm. It's hard. And especially if you don't have experience. You're just, book smart or design course smart. It's hard to express the concept without having at least intent or intended to try to implement a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And you have a wide gamut there. Alternative construction, alternative economy, alternative interpersonal and decision-making process, alternative forestry, alternative agriculture, food production. There's a lot of subject material, a wide breadth of
applications.
Yeah, and the ability to articulate, these different methodologies and so forth that requires people that have done it, I think, in lots of cases.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain something. I remember trying to explain how to do some agricultural technique, even do small agricultural techniques that I'd read about to other people, and it just doesn't work because people have questions and they're like, well, actually I've never done this, so I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's what, unfortunately, I think that's what a lot of the permaculture design work at the beginning is related to theoretical applications. And so when it comes to shove, some of them don't perform as well as we hope.
Yeah.
Which, it's about going through the stages from design through implementation and assessment.
So then how did you get started with Dacres and everything?
Well, I definitely had been pursuing these types of projects, similar types of projects. And I've also, was feeling like there was another level of it, another dimension that we could attain. And it really didn't really have a firm sense of where that was going to be. Mm-hmm. But Dacres provided a platform to begin exploring that and begin tweaking the model and go on trying to take it a little bit further in different directions all at once. But in different, just sort of expand the possibilities. Say with the interpersonal, try to make things just more flat here, organizationally, more horizontal, give people the opportunity to participate in the decision making and participate more in the process.
So less hierarchical.
Mm-hmm. And so, how do you actually do that in this day and age? Because there's so much legalese that's based around the hierarchical system and authority and ownership, and there's who's in charge here. Mm-hmm. Is a really profound question. Mm. And so what we've been trying to do is play with how we can continue to survive and thrive, but look at the model and make it better. And it's challenging. It's challenging to try to reinvent the wheel and get somewhere.
Yeah.
It's one thing if it's just supposed to be some sort of bench model prototype, but we want to use this thing, get work done.
So, when did Dacres actually become, or when and how did Dacres actually become Dacres and not a series of your personal projects? Like, I assume is that how it started, with kind of your personal projects, and then it kind of came together,
well,
sort of thing?
When we moved here, we knew that we wanted to start a business enterprise.
Is this you and your parents?
I would say it's a result, a combination of how we needed to legally address this property. Like, we were owners, the family. My parents owned the property. I say we, but they owned the property. And they had to assess how to legally allow people to be here. There's liability. There's bills to pay. There's just a slew of insurance, taxes. The actual usage of the land. Can you just open your land to people to farm?
Can you?
Can you? In some towns, I'm sure you can. In some situations, you can. But you still got to figure out how to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And handle all the situations that arise. Any development issues. Who's going to build a road? Who's going to build a house?
How are you going to do it?
Where are these people going to live?
Yeah.
There's winter.
There's winter. Winter's a long time here.
Winter's a long, cold time here. So, when we got started, there's big questions into how, what are we going to do here exactly? How are we going to manage the enterprise? How are we going to organize? How are we going to pay for this? What are we going to do? Yeah, huge questions. And so the idea began to have a market garden, so to speak. That was the direction that we felt was something that we'd seen function on the West Coast. It's something that had been popularized in the literature. There's books by a guy named Elliot Coleman.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him.
That really played into this market gardening, CSA style.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And or market garden and going for the upscale market, the baby greens or the baby carrots, red bichio, upscale. That's what we'd seen be successful in these various hippie havens that we lived. Traveling around, you see cool places. You go to Santa Cruz, or you go to Eugene, or you go to the San Juan Islands, or Boulder, or Santa Fe, or these sort of hipster places that there's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And there's people with discriminating tastes.
Yeah.
Who are willing to pay a lot for produce. And so it makes market gardening viable. I mean, it's what it should be everywhere.
Yeah.
People should have discriminating tastes. They should be willing to pay for their food, but
should be have the ability. Yeah.
Yeah. It's something that's just not as prevalent.
Here.
That's what we learned. That's what we learned. And the soil, good golly. The growing season.
Yep.
It's very challenging for market gardening. I mean, we're coming from Orcas Island where it's like zone 13 or something. I'm exaggerating, but the soil, the soil doesn't hard freeze in the winter.
Yeah.
So it's different.
It rains a lot.
Rains a lot, and there's slugs. They got their own problems, but they got seaweed, so that'd be a big, nice thing.
It's a trade-off. Have some seaweed.
Seaweed would be good. Seaweed would be really a nice resource as far as building soil. But like I said, everyone's blessed in their own ways.
Yeah. So, in terms of, I guess, kind of the lifestyle that people live while they're at Dacres, and I guess your lifestyle since you live here year-round, I don't know exactly. Can you comment on any big differences or challenges that there are living this kind of lifestyle compared to, if you were, I guess you could say me, for instance. I live in a town. My parents, we get our food from the grocery store, that kind of thing.
How different it is to live like this?
Or was it a big switch? Or I guess, was there any big switch in terms of your lifestyle at any point?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I grew up in suburbia. We didn't raise all the food we ate in North Carolina where I grew up by any means. And, we're not to the point where we're subsistent here fully.
Mm.
It's not like Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett, We're
No.
really tied into a lot of technology here. It is a different mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not investing in my work week isn't tied to a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a focus on, in my life, like personal profit.
Mm-hmm.
And so just as far as like where I start from, so it's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But living here, it's I think, and the intention of it is to be outdoors as much as we can and really be as close to nature as we can and experience that. And lots of exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Kind of inherent in the...
Lots of exercise and good food.
Yeah.
And, hopefully the good rest as well, real sort of structure to the day, really sort of health to that.
Sleep when the sun's down, kind of thing.
Get your rest. Make sure you get your rest. You see so many people in urban environments strung out on coffee, cigarette, booze, just the lifestyle, staying up late watching TV and playing video games. Who knows? It's hard for us to imagine that just because there's so much to do during the day, such diversity of activities and such sort of fulfillment and so many projects and things we want to accomplish that rest is important.
Mm.
But I think, it's maybe a different, just sort of a different mentality in terms of the social dynamics as well. I think there's a large emphasis here that's probably not everywhere on communication.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to vocalize how personal needs interact with the community dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And separating needs and wants, but like to meet your needs, to meet your fulfillment, like what's it going to take? And assessing that in terms of Dacres. So realistically, can Dacres help you meet your needs?
Mm.
Like, is the work that you're doing here match the goals of the place, the organization? Because if they do, it can be a really fulfilling place to be. And if they don't, you're going to be miserable. And if you're miserable, the people around you are going to feel it one way or the other,
Yeah.
and for whatever reason. So yeah, it's about trying to get together with people about, your motivations and and you have to communicate that, and then orchestrate how together you're gonna meet and attain those goals.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been at it for a long time.
Yeah.
So, a lot to it, trying to set that up, to work together as a group.
I mean, I suppose it takes time, and you seem to be getting pretty, new people. I mean, how often do you get new people?
Well, there's a lot of traffic. In a given year, we probably have about 30 interns.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Do they come in, waves?
Lots of people. We're generally asking at this point for 6 weeks minimum.
Mm.
Some of the international people come for less than that. But yeah, it's throughout. In the winter, there's a lot less. We might have 3 or 4 interns, but in the summertime, it's 10 at a time. There's a lot of
people coming to get experience.
Yeah, once again, it's the motivation for creating this place really had a lot to do with actually doing it.
Yeah.
But also making sure that the place was open for the public.
Yeah.
For this community, people live in Dorchester as well as however far they can come. I mean, we've had people from all over the world come to work and tour the place and whatnot.
They find their way here.
They do.
It's kind of impressive.
It's neat. And the beauty of it is, I think, to some extent, just getting your hands dirty. If you can find a way to wrap your hands around it instead of just your mind, then you can do something on this physical plane. I think that's really what this place can represent to people.
Mm.
Is it's one thing to read a book about planting seed. It's a whole different thing to go out there and here's this packet, and once you go out and plant seeds at an inch depth, one every 6 inches, and here you go.
I found that is a mild challenge for me because I definitely exist on a mental plane for most of the time because I am a student.
Oh, it's academic.
Oh yeah, and so when I started working with Steve a little bit, we were just sheet mulching around his raspberry bushes, and I had to kind of stop and train my motor skills, how to shovel wood chips and lay down cardboard and stuff like that. It's interesting the challenge that it poses.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting what oftentimes some people will show up here and think that, this is going to be like school. We're going to fill your head with facts or something. Like if we're going to teach you about potatoes, what they expect is like this lecture about potatoes and the history of potatoes and how they're cultivated. Supposed to stand over the front of the room with PowerPoint.
Do you think that's because you get a lot of students?
Maybe it's just how people are anticipating they're going to learn.
Mm.
But yeah, potato growing is about going out in that field and bending over and getting close to the plants and feeling them and learning about the pests and learning about the signs that they're not doing good, trying to figure out ways to make them do better, or make sure they got enough moisture.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about harvesting them and picking through the dirt and finding every last one. And it's about taking them in and freaking eating them. That's potatoes. It's not about you can't learn anything hardly in a book or in a classroom about potatoes.
Mm.
I mean, what's there to know? You need to do it. And yeah, that's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, but that's the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what nobody in school has.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we have tons of people educated about this mental environment.
Mm-hmm.
We're the most inward and egotistical people that have yet to exist. You know, you think of how many pictures of ourselves we have, and how much, you know, this documentation is just another example. It's like the voyage of introverts. You know, we're
The voyage of introverts.
Consumed by ourselves. And that's the journey. It's just like, you know, it's personal development and like personal enlightenment and stuff. And I think we're missing the boat.
What do you mean by personal enlightenment?
Well, like you're supposed to get in tune. Like that's what it's all about. That's the end of the game. It's like you're supposed to like be tuned in. It's like let's say, well, that's just the focus. You know, be it. And you see it in some of the culture, like yoga. Yoga doesn't seem like it's tuned in to me as much into like a group thing. I suppose it is at some levels, and it's practice, but it also seems very like, I don't know how it's getting portrayed, but it's almost like people looking in the mirror or something. Narcissistic.
Oh, you mean that people do yoga to improve how they look, kind of thing, rather than for the kind of the more spiritual practice of it?
Or if they're into the spiritual practice, maybe that's so that they're cool.
I mean, with personal enlightenment, do you think that's kind of a spiritual thing, or is it anything you make it kind of thing?
Well, I think where it is just very focused on the id.
On the id, oh, okay.
Yeah, you know, I mean, if we're trapped in that one dimensionality of it, that's the journey. The journey is your inner growth, your inner self. If we're just missing this whole boat of like what humanity as a group, as you know, is any sort of concept that points to the individual is just missing the whole thing.
I see what you mean.
It just doesn't work. I mean, it's so glorified by, like I said, sort of this whole culture.
So you think
personality.
So you think our culture is focused too much on self and not enough on community, kind of thing? Is that
I would say,
yeah.
That's very succinct way to put it.
Okay.
Yeah, just not I mean, and it is. It's for us. My generation growing up, like we just fought communism.
You fought communism?
That was the whole big stick when we were coming up. That's why Reagan happened.
Mm.
We just wanted to whoop communism.
Did you want to whoop communism?
When I was 9 or 10 years old, yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it shows you the power of the doctrine of the day.
You were also 9 or 10.
Well, just so that was the... I mean, I don't think that was taught to me by my parents.
No.
I think that's the what you see the flag raising today, you know? It's lots of stuff that's, you know, has... or did have potentially, at some point in time, intentions of goodness that's just gotten clearly out of hand.
Communism and whatnot.
Well, just the whole concept that it was so bad. I mean, communism and socialism and forms of government that aren't based purely on capitalism, where it's this winner-take-all, very exploitative culture. Mm. So we have to reconsider some of this stuff. This capitalism that isn't working. Yeah. It's not helping.
Is that one of the reasons that you think Dacres has a hard time kind of functioning the way that you want to function, like you were talking about all the taxes and laws and whatnot that made it hard to kind of set up the farm.
There's a lot of structural things that make it difficult, as far as the legalese and trying to seek alternatives to build an organization that will work. And that's really what it's about to me. We need to get out and consistently over the years make food and make shelter and make sure we have enough wherewithal to make sure people are cared for medically and spiritually. So there's got to be a format, an interface to make that happen. And it's got to be more than what currently exists. What currently exists seems to be, single people or couples.
Rather than groups of people, like extended families kind of thing.
There's some of that, but it's all blood.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, at some point in time, humanity has to transcend those three formats, solitary existence, patriarchal, or a dualistic existence, and find a way to participate intergenerationally in a formal or informal manner in working the land, food and shelter, and for the other needs that humanity has.
Right.
There's no good formula. There's no turnkey.
Yeah.
The tax code, whatever's not set up for any of this.
Yeah.
And so how do you create something that doesn't exist? It's experimental. And it's evolving. It's not static. If it was static, we already lost the whole thing. It has to be reactive and proactive.
What does the kind of shift in thinking about how, I guess, we live together kind of thing?
And yeah, how we volunteer our time and how we commit and how we're accountable and responsible and what we're accountable and responsible for and
our values.
Yeah, and that's hazy.
Yeah.
I say that right now. That sounds fun. That's a bunch of words. But no, what that means is you have to come to meetings. And you have to come to meetings with ideas. And you have to be willing to implement those ideas and stand behind them. So that the business entity of this place keeps up with our needs for income.
Yeah. So what would you say, like, your personal core values are? Sounds like health is a big one.
I like health and wellness, that's a good one. And yeah, I think everybody gets to that somewhere different along the way. I don't really have a prescription for that.
Yeah.
But, try to smile, laugh a lot. That seems to make everything go better. But as far as core values, yeah, I want to see the change happen. Like, I think that's intrinsic in me, that I am tired of talking about this and want to implement. And so basically, I've throw myself under the cart for that.
What exactly do you mean by the change?
When we're looking at the current structure, I feel like it is not responding to the stresses of the environment. So people are not finding ways to commute less.
I mean the structure of how we live kind of thing?
Yeah. The destructive culture.
Yeah.
You know, the culture of destruction that we're living in. We don't have a method to change it. Okay, I want to commute less. Oh, I have all these bills, but how can I still exist without all these bills? How do I participate in this society that demands so much consumption and consume less? I think this is what we need to change. We need to figure out ways to continue to develop economically without destructive culture, without destructive consumption, without pollution, without all the externalities that are not in the annual profit and loss of the Wall Street companies.
Yeah.
It's just not there.
So you want to see the cultural change happen?
Oh, yes. And that means going out there and we're drilling holes in a rock somewhere. Or, it means planting carrots.
You're living it.
Yeah. It will, I think what it means is to, do those tasks and all that. Like, you have to get out and do it. You have to get the calluses, and you have to get the aches and the pains, and you have to learn how to do it. You have to get better at it. You have to, bring that generationally forward. Like, I want people here to be better at growing rice and raising oxen and chickens than I ever was when I got here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that has to be part of the formula. Like, we have to get better. Mm-hmm. At all this stuff, so you have to practice it. Mm-hmm. If we just keep writing books and no one ever does it, it's just going to get worse at all these crafts and all these skills and all this know-how. Like, you have to put years and years and years into developing the skills and bringing that information forward into the future. What's your question again?
I think we started with what are your core values?
Yeah, I went somewhere from there, though, too.
You see the change, living the change.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm curious about, I guess, two more things specifically. I guess we'll start with this. I know you seem to have a lot of other interests besides all your planting endeavors in terms of craft work and whatnot. So, you want to talk about your other interests?
I think what I recently came to understand is I am not going to meet all the dreams that I had when I was growing up. As far as doing, there's a limit to what. I don't really it doesn't really catch up with you until you get halfway there or something. You don't really look at it as the cup is half full. The cup is endless. And so, at some point in time, you do have to narrow it down. But within that, I do think it's important to express and try to let yourself be drawn in directions that you feel you can contribute and participate. And yeah, I've been real fortunate to have been led into various opportunities with art and with theater, theatrical art.
Theatrical art.
And it's been hella good ride. There's the ability to continually to express yourself through these different means, other than just words. And it feels like a really positive contribution. And you know, if you can make something that other people enjoy, wow, that's awesome. That's great. But if you can make something that you like, you know, that's pretty great too. I think that's fun. So I think that's what, it's sort of a combination of that, you know? It is. It's this expression in life where you can make yourself feel good and other people. I think you're onto something there.
Mm.
And so, you know, be it music or theater or art, you're just looking for that little key that makes the light come on. And yeah, for me too, it's a lot of just skill building. Always looking at how to build stuff and how to make stuff and different ideas to get the wheels turning.
Mm-hmm.
It's really exciting. It's exciting work. I feel like it's you know, trying to work in this field. It is. It's exciting and challenging. It's something that is nice. It makes you want to get up and go to work, you know. I can't imagine having a job where you sort of did the same thing every day or every year, you know. Yeah. So
It's a little horrifying for you.
yeah, you know. Hey, you only got so much time here. You want to just have a lot of experience, I think. My perception is. But it's really neat because, like, at this point, I like getting lots of those experiences right here. Sort of like you can accumulate a vast amount of knowledge by being in one place. Sort of literally, like, by being in one place.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's been a great opportunity to just be in one place with that attunement, with that perception, that you can both add a lot to that place, you can both contribute, and you get something back.
Mm.
And it's really, that I think is part of the perception challenge, and that's not tangible. Like, you might not actually even feel that, you know, and it takes a while to feel that, feel the land and feel it in your heart. It's something that takes a while to attain that attunement. So, to really like the sound of them frogs.
Yeah. The feeling of resonance in a place, you mean, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The smells and the attachment, you know, that's hard won. That just don't happen. You know, you gotta live that. So.
Time and understanding.
Yeah, no, time is definitely continual. That knowledge is, that's just that time continuum. It takes it. I wish I could remember what I was saying before. Did you got another question? Did I get that one?
How long have you been here?
I mean, I've been coming here my whole life. There's that little house I'm living in now. There's pictures of me when it was getting built. Like, they put me in the foundation because I was a little toddler and I couldn't get out. They would just leave me out there all day.
Really?
Yeah, I thought child abuse, but apparently they just did. It turned out alright, I guess. But
I thought that house was much older than you.
the back house.
Oh, I see.
The back house is new. It's like 40 years old. But there's a tree that they planted back there at the same time. Mm-hmm. That's sort of my birth tree or whatnot. It's interesting to see a tree as big as your old. It's nice to see. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I've been coming here my whole life. And we sort of always had a plan, to end up here in some capacity, I think. Sort of talking or imagining some sort of art place up here my whole life. With my dad. Mm-hmm. And my aunt was really stellar artist, really well known in the region as a teacher. And she...
In this region? As an art teacher? Who's your sister? Your aunt, rather. Sorry.
Well, she's my great aunt.
Your great aunt.
She was 89 years old when I moved up here in 1997.
Oh, I probably wouldn't know her now.
No, it's a different style too. It's the contemporary style. It's the early American. This is the style. Mm-hmm. Sort of like Grandma Moses. I think it's really sort of I don't know. You can look at it as sort of primitive. It's sort of primitive. Some of it was lots of stenciling and decorative and lots of like different techniques like gold leaf, and mother of pearl, painted with palladium and stuff like that. And then there was all sort of the Americana style as well, like doing braided rugs.
Oh yeah.
Knitting and painting furniture and just goes on and on.
That's cool.
But different techniques.
Do you have any self-criticisms?
Sure, I'm challenged all the time to keep patient, I suppose.
Patient with anything in particular?
I'm not really satisfied with the pace of change.
You mean here, specifically?
Oh, here and everywhere. Hey, I just feel like we're all aware of the situation. The more educated people seem to be, it doesn't seem to really affect how they're making their lifestyle choices in the big picture. I mean, it's like just changing brands and buying something that's got just label on it instead of buying something that doesn't isn't changing the problem of consumption. You look at it, that education level where people will make their specific choices of like a green product,
an ethical product.
An ethical product. I don't think really has anything to do with the big picture and the big problem.
Which is?
Consumption.
Oh, okay, consumption.
It's not solving that at all. It doesn't even address it. I mean, if we're in this growth mode where growth equals consumption, which I don't think it needs to. I think growth could equal expansion, diversity. Maybe that is growth in some sense, but I think it's a different paradigm to look at expansion. But so you're just sort of stuck in these models of thought that you have to have these consumer products.
So you feel impatient with that kind of thing?
Yeah. I think, like I said, lots of this, on the deepest level has to do with, like, family and, like, personal stuff. But I wonder, some of the people that I'm closest to, and they're well aware of the issues of what it means to turn on a light switch.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to slow them down turning on that switch. Or, well aware of where the gas is coming from that's going to take them to the store so they can get ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
I do it all the time. I'm not saying I'm any different. But if I had to get that gasoline myself, really understand what it represents, the damage that it's doing, burning it, everything else, you would think I would act differently.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I'm impatient and troubled by this predicament. And so I think that's cumulative, like in my psyche.
Mm-hmm.
And it's driving me down a little bit. So, what the heck am I supposed to do? I think if I ignore it, it's like, that's the epitome of the problem. I just, you're throwing yourself to the wolves by ignoring it. I don't know. It's true. I'm an advocate of lots of this stuff, and we really have a great system here, and things are really tuned in. But I'm really fortunate. Fate has paid a lot in goodwill, and lots of people putting in all kinds of help to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say to people, well, shit, tomorrow you should give up your job and come live on the farm with me. It's not my role. It's not what I want us, that's not the argument I should have. That's the argument of the armchair. I think if I want to get that message across, what I need to do is continue to find ways to epitomize it and to live it and to transcend, make what we have here appropriate, applicable to a wider populace, a wider demographic, so that people can find a way to fit into an agricultural-based system and enjoy that life. And that's what I think, really, I think we just need to demonstrate that possibility and move forward from there. But yeah, it's hard for me to say, oh, you should do this just like me, because I'm just really lucky, fortunate, friends, family, money, just lots of reasons why this has been such a success. And so it's hard to put yourself in other people's shoes. I can't really imagine doing that.
Are there anything specifically that you think people could do in order to live a less consumptive lifestyle?
Oh God. Well, yeah, it's like that Al Gore movie. At the end of it, it tells you to replace all your lights with compact fluorescents. What kind of stupid idea is that? You know what I mean? Mm. It's proved to be one of the dumbest things that has gone on in 2000. The first 10 years of this century is all these people buying these compact fluorescents, and them all being full of mercury, and so with no plan as to how to dispose of them. Mm-hmm. Everybody is implicit in this. This was a big growth formula. Mm-hmm. And it's terrible. Terrible idea.
So
I could say the same thing about all the hybrid cars. Jesus Christ, what are they going to do with all these batteries? I mean, it's a huge issue. The whole cash for clunkers thing. Where, the Obama administration, trying to support the car industry, gets people to buy a bunch of new cars and trash their old cars. And old cars are actually better made than new cars. Mm-hmm. So what do they just do? It's a dumb idea. I mean, people in Cuba are still getting around on their old cars. Just get parts.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean... Consumption.
Wear it out. It's these basic frugality. Treat every bit of this fossil fuel derived consumption products, try to get the highest quality, try to use them for the longest time possible, try to wear your clothes out. You don't abuse them. But, it's a different mentality. It's the mentality of, I don't want to use this metaphor, but it's obvious to me, the type of standards and restrictions that happened in World War II when people, were recycling, when people were having victory gardens and all of this sort of focus, on preserving resources for a purpose. Well, the purpose is save the planet. Mm-hmm. And we have to get motivated to do this. And that's a thing in the head. And, the fact that they used the war propaganda machine to make all that happen is somewhat sick in a way. To motivate so many people to kill other people. Whereas now we can't motivate ourselves to save. It's something just flawed.
Save some place to live.
That just really doesn't make sense. But, people are willing to do lots of stuff that they don't have to see. They don't have to be in their backyard.
What makes you happy?
Being here is real good for me. I like being here. The grounds, seeing the animals and the growth. People coming through is great. Learning and sharing. I think I like not having as much responsibility.
A little bit of a relief.
Yeah, it's great. There's lots of other people around here that are super responsible and accountable and willing to commit to succeeding. I think that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
You see it in all of our society that people are employees. People want to like just either get by or just not invest in like the altruistic goals that I think are the essence of living. To some degree, the essence of any potential success, I think, lies in cooperation. And so minimize that in so many aspects of our daily life is just sort of absurd. We don't seem to pick up on the true nature of the problem.
Alright, well, that's all I have.
Okay. How long was that?
It's a while. It was an hour.
You get me talking, boy. Woo-wee.
No, it's perfect.
Right.
I'm going to stop this somehow. I don't know how.
You hit the red button.
There's a red button.